In today's video, we're going to be talking about the pre-game of psychedelic therapy, what it is that you really need to have in place, in my opinion, in order to be able to really do the most effective, profound healing work with psychedelics. This is something I've talked about, kind of hinted at before, but I want to just kind of lay it plainly here for you. So if you're someone who's thinking about doing psychedelics for healing, or you're trying to use psychedelics for healing and feeling like it's not going very well, hopefully this will be helpful in terms of understanding what needs to be in place to really do this properly. All right, let's talk about it. All right, it's been a minute. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're doing well out there. So just a couple quick heads up here, and then I'm going to go ahead and just drop into the content. So this is more of a brain dump. I'm a bit low energy today. I'm kind of just tired. My body's run down. I'm kind of fighting off some cold or something. So my speech may be a little unformatted. I might be a little rambly here. And just so you know, I'm a little low energy, so don't expect a lot of excitement out of me in this video. But I wanted to just speak to, what we might think of as the pre-game of psychedelic therapy, what it is that you want to have in place in order to really get the most out of the experience. And this is really, quite frankly, where a lot of my focus and a lot of my attention has been over this last year working with my clients. And the results have been nothing short of amazing from my point of view. And, kind of some of the feedback I'm getting from them is that this is very much the right way to go about things according to them and what seems to feel best. So I want to give you a clear understanding of what you need to do if you're either thinking about doing psychedelics, right? So let's say you're someone who's new to this, you have issues, you have healing to do, or if you're someone who, has, taken psychedelics for therapeutic purposes, but the experiences tend to be difficult, overwhelming, challenging, sad, or numb, just kind of unproductive, or just overall disappointing, not really like feeling like you're really making progress with the healing. I want to give you a clear understanding of what needs to be in place first, like I said in the intro. So without much further ado here, let's go ahead and just kind of start to talk about it. Pardon me while I grab my coconut water and kind of place it there just in case I need to hydrate as we chat here. So here's the thing, okay? I've said this in a million different ways on this channel, but I want to just kind of lay it plainly before you here. From my point of view, the most important thing you can do for psychedelic therapy is really do good preparatory work for as long as that needs to happen before you go ahead and start working with the medicine. So you really want to lay a good foundation. And in particular, what you want to have in place is the ability to regulate your own nervous system. And so self-regulation is the name for that skill. You want to be able to self-regulate, and you want to be able to essentially tolerate a certain amount of distress, a certain amount of discomfort, overwhelm, negative emotion, difficult memories, challenging insights, difficult, uncomfortable body sensations. You want to have the ability to tolerate a certain amount of that without it totally overwhelming you or blowing you out or causing you to go numb or distressing you or terrifying you or any of the other things, okay? So this is really what needs to be there. So let's just think about this for a moment, and it'll make perfectly clear sense. So when you take a psychedelic, rewind that. Let's zoom back even further. Most people coming to psychedelic therapy are coming to psychedelic therapy because either traditional therapy hasn't worked for them, or they have some really big, stuck, entrenched issues that are confusing, hard to figure out, not clear where they come from exactly, really deep, really concerning. And often the people who end up working in psychedelic therapy, really, quite frankly, not always, but often are struggling quite a bit. And so what we have in a situation like that, if you're someone who's coming to psychedelic therapy because it's your last hope, you're overwhelmed, you're really struggling, you really have like deep issues, but you don't know what they are, this kind of a thing. What all of that implies is that your nervous system is probably habitually, over a long period of time, become deeply dysregulated as a pattern, right? So you probably live with a significant amount of nervous system dysregulation. And that's probably a big part of why you even want to come to psychedelic therapy in the first place, right? So this might look like chronic anxiety, general anxiety disorders. This might look like major attachment issues. This might look like, chronic depression. This might look like, chronic dissociation and numbness, or a lot of the things that kind of branch off of those kind of core states, things like social anxiety, things like procrastination, lack of motivation, being avoidant about, solving problems in your life, numbing out, shutting down, kind of limping through life by leaning on crutches like junk food and alcohol and cannabis and Netflix and what have you, and not really getting to it, right? So all of these are kind of signs that your nervous system is dysregulated, right? Now, if your nervous system is dysregulated, there's a good chance, if it's been that way for a while, that you may be underdeveloped in your ability to tolerate stress, discomfort, challenge, big emotions, things like that, right? And probably this is part of the reason you want to go do psychedelic therapy. But the reality is, psychedelics are amplifiers of what's already happening in our nervous system, especially, to be clear, when I say psychedelics in this case, I mean psilocybin, LSD, mescaline, DMT, classic psychedelics, right? But even things like ketamine to a certain degree, MDMA definitely can have the same quality of, of amplifying what's already present or showing you what's already present, right? So really what this means is that when you go to do a psychedelic, it requires more of a capacity to regulate yourself, because essentially you're going to take, let's say it's LSD, and you take this high wattage medicine and boom, it amplifies all your experience and everything's louder and more intense and more challenging. And the sensations and the thoughts and the emotions and the memories and the feelings and the fears and the confusions and all of it is louder and bigger and stronger. That means your nervous system needs to be ready and capable of processing more stress, more discomfort, more overwhelm. It needs more of an ability to be regulated when you put the psychedelic into you. Ironically, most of the people that come to psychedelic therapy are in the opposite place, where they're underdeveloped with their ability to self-regulate. And so then, that you take the medicine, what happens? You get totally overwhelmed. You get totally blown out. It's not useful. It's too much. It's terrifying. It's confusing. And you're like, how do I use this? Right? So from my point of view, the major piece, there are a lot of other things that I think are really useful for prep, but the major piece that needs to be there is really working at nervous system regulation as a skill, as a core understanding that you develop in the same way that you go to the gym and you kind of lift weights and you work out your muscles, or you read and learn and study and develop your capacity for thinking and learning and gaining new information. Same thing here with the nervous system. We want to work with the nervous system to develop and strengthen our capacity to tolerate more upset and regulate ourselves through it, or allow ourselves to be co-regulated by a guide or a therapist, or in my case, if I'm a coach and I'm working with someone, to be co-regulated through that, right? So this doesn't have to be completely a solo effort, but I think it's really worth putting in the time to really get the skill and to really understand that this needs to be there. You need to be able to hold and contain what comes up, right? You need to be able to work with that and work through that and discover your ability to be a container for big experience and big emotions, right? Before you do the healing work, before you go trying to dig for your trauma or figure out what the root cause was, or what the moment was, or what the memory that you're afraid to look at is, or any of that stuff. How about just having your nervous system ready to go so that you can deal with that kind of a thing, right? So this is, to me, the pregame of psychedelic therapy. And this is sadly something that when I read reports online and I read about, different approaches to psychedelic therapy, something, that's often very under-discussed, under-expressed. And I hear these stories of, even clients of mine who have gone to, retreats and therapists, and they're just kind of thrown to the big dose, with nothing more than maybe an hour-long prep conversation or something like that. And these are people who maybe have been suffering for years with a lot of nervous system dysregulation and really need to get a feel for what it feels like to be able to safely contain and hold big emotions and big experiences. So this is what you want to have in place first. And as long as it takes to get a feel for that, I'd say it's worth it, right? So if you need to spend months, 6 months, a year developing your nervous system to be able to deal with, holding a psychedelic type experience and processing on the psychedelic, so be it. I will say, what I've been finding with my clients is I'm really like honing how to teach this and how to help people, feel this and work with this and get a feel for how to self-regulate, right? This is one of the major things I want to teach here on the channel and, show you guys. So I've been honing this down, and I will say, usually my clients pick it up to a certain degree, let's say doable enough to work with me or with someone else if they're going to work with a different guide. Usually we can get that person getting a feel for it within, I would say, 4 to 6 sessions, give or take. But quite frankly, the more you practice nervous system regulation and the more time you put into it, in your daily life, the better you're going to get at it, the easier it becomes, the clearer it becomes. And then, when it's like go time, when you're on the medicine, you're confronted with a big experience, you know what to do. So that would be my recommendation. I think in terms of prep, there's a lot we could do, but that's the major piece that needs to be there, is this understanding of nervous system regulation as a thing, right? Just understanding the concept. And then how to do that, what that looks like, how that feels, what happens when we are regulating our nervous system, because there's kind of a fairly predictable set of things that seems to occur when we start to self-regulate and work with ourselves, and getting a feel for how that whole sequence of events unfolds so that you're not really caught off guard and really terribly surprised in the worst sense of the word when you're on the session. So anyways, that's my thoughts for now. I thought I'd share with you because to me, this is so clear, this is so obvious, but I realize that there are a lot of people out there who are just deeply mystified with, how do I prep? How do I heal? How do I use the psychedelic to do the healing work? I'm going to do another video about that, which I'm sure will come out later this week. So look out for another video on what the role of the psychedelic is in the healing, because I think there's a lot of confusion around that too. But anyways, for now, in terms of prep, just think of it like this. If you don't know how to self-regulate, if you don't know how to process your own emotions or bring yourself back to center or work with a rising of a big state, a big emotion, a big experience, if you're, squeamish and uncomfortable, the moment your body starts to feel uncomfortable, you start to get strange sensations somatically, I would work at regulating your nervous system, learning what that is, learning how to do that, getting good at that for as long as you need to, and then go and do the medicine. And you'll find it so much easier to work with medicine. So that's my message to you for today. And I'd love to know what you think. Again, this is just an off the cuff, from the heart, low energy, bit of a ramble here, but hopefully it's useful. Let me know and leave a comment down below if this resonates for you, if this clarifies anything or makes sense, or if you're tired of hearing about this, because I do talk about various forms of this. This is why secure attachment is so important, because it regulates us. So this will be an ongoing topic on the channel, but let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. All right. Much love to you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you're well and have a beautiful day.